Hello, my name is James Caldwell, and I will be doing my movie assignment project on Invictus, a movie based on South African culture, revolving around the later life of Nelson Mandela as president of the South Africa. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with my introduction. So I have notes written down on my page. I'll be going back and forth as I tell you guys more about this and go over the different dimensions of Hofstede's, Tropenar's, and the Globe Project and how those different dimensions are represented in South African culture. So this movie takes place in the 1980s also. I'll start off with my introduction. Nelson Mandela takes office during a time of cultural division among the black and white population after a corrupt, white, minority-focused government has been pushed out. While the majority black population is focused on revenge against the minority white population for all that they did to them during the time of that corrupt government taking place, Mandela pushes back with his new agenda of peace, unity, and a better future for South Africa for everyone, no matter your skin color, no matter your past party affiliations. So that's where most of the problems in this story come from. The fact that Nelson Mandela is pushing for a new agenda of peace, while a lot of people are still upset about everything that happened, understandably, but he doesn't want to focus on that. He wants to create a new government and a new society in South Africa that's more focused on unity. So that's where most of the struggle comes from. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Hofstede's dimensions. The two that I focused on were individualism and long-term orientation. So basically, individualism, South Africa overall nowadays is rated as a 65. This means there's a high preference for a loosely knit social framework, which this is coming from the website there. So this is just a quoted from them from the website. For a loosely knit social framework in which individuals are expected to take care of themselves and their immediate families only. So, and once again, that's the website that we were given on the assignment, what they say about it. So, as the movie portrays it, instead, the movie portrays this as true. However, one example of this is through the use of clan names. Specifically, Mandela's clan name was Madiba, and it originated from his family's ancestor clan. It was more respectful in South African culture to call someone by their family clan name than even by their title. So, Madiba would be more appropriate than Mr. President. So that just shows individualism, their type of individualism they had in South Africa. Okay, so next for Hofstede, we're going to go through long-term orientation. So South Africa overall is given a score of 34 on this dimension, meaning that people in such societies have a strong concern with establishing the truth. They are normative in their thinking. They exhibit great respect for traditions and relatively small propensity to save for the future and focus on achieving quick results. So the movie portrayed this as true once again. It is a scene early on that Mandela is trying to work on relations between the black and white population, but even his own bodyguards are upset about having to work with men they consider untrustworthy because of the color of their skin. And he doesn't care about that. To him, he wants to have bodyguards that are both black and white, and the fact that they don't like each other, it does matter to him, but he's trying to change that. So he can't have just one race protecting him. He wants to have, everybody in South Africa, all the different types of people. Like he expresses it as like a rainbow. So we're going to I'll go off to the next thing now. So the Globe Project dimensions were assertiveness and gender egalitarianism. For assertiveness, South Africa is rated as right under a 4 or a little less than the average country. Therefore, the black population is considered a little less competitive and more focused on peace and teamwork than the individual success. It says black there because just to express this, that there was two different statistics. And since for one for black and one for white that the Globe Project went on, and I decided to go with the black population because it was the majority population in South Africa at that time and still to this day. So it's more overall. Okay, so the movie portrayed this as true. One example of this was how the population continued to cheer on the country's national rugby team even when they continually lost over and over again. Although they preferred to win, they did not hate their team after a bad loss, but instead continued to cheer for them even harder and hope for a better game next time. This is the basis of a country with a lower assertiveness score on the Globe Project scale, meaning they focus more on teamwork and less on whether or not they win. So less on that success factor. Next, we're going to go to gender egalitarianism. Rated as a little over 4 or relatively medium among the black population, so gender equality is relatively average in South Africa according to the dimensions, no more and no less than most other countries. Now, the movie portrayed this slightly incorrectly, in my opinion. So if the research is to be proven correct, So basically, in the movie, most of the women are said to be roles of like administrative assistants or maids, and they're treated a little bit more sexist by their male counterparts at work, which the scale says that they're not. It says that that's like not considered that, but in the movie, it's expressed that way. One example of this is when Mandela's bodyguard Jason told his receptionist Jessie to come to the room and called her beautiful instead of by her real name. But this kind of behavior is considered very demeaning in a work environment and is not often tolerated by a country that is considered higher on the gender egalitarian scale. So if the Globe Project study is to be believed, the movie is misrepresenting the gender equality norms of South Africa. Excuse me. Okay, so next we're going to go off into the last ones. The last dimensions here I have are the tropinars. So we'll quickly go through this. So universal versus individualism is the first one I went to in personal relationships. So there was no scale to compare to. So on the websites or anything. So instead I just had to go off what the movie told me. And from the perspective of the movie in South Africa seems to be more focused on universalism, or at least Mandela pushed for this kind of culture as president by lowering his own salary because he considered it to be unfairly high. Although he could have kept the money to himself, he instead donated a third of it to charity to show that he was no better than any other citizen and deserved more than they had. So he didn't believe he deserved more, so he lowered his own salary. Next, we have the specific versus the diffuse. We had no scale to compare this to once again because it was not online. But the movie portrayed South Africa as having more of a diffuse culture than a specific culture, meaning that work and personal life often mix, and in order to be part of one, you had to be part of another. Mandela often showed this by becoming more familiarized with his staff, even asking about each staff member's family on a daily basis to show that he cared about them past the jobs that they were doing. So that shows them as more of a diffuse culture. One other side point I wanted to make was that a large cultural point that I saw was that the people of South Africa tended to show a lot of emotion in public, which I found very interesting. Whether someone hated Nelson Mandela or loved them, they always made it clear and often spoke their mind. There are many examples of this in the movie, from when Nelson Mandela got booed during his first sporting events, or to whenever children would cheer for him as he was driving down the road. Either way, people always showed how they felt about him out in public. They didn't hide it. So, in conclusion, I have to be honest. Before this assignment, I knew very little about South Africa. I did not view them as a world power or a very advanced society, which is my own fault. But I learned a lot about them by doing my research and watching this movie. So South Africa has dealt with its own share of political issues, cultural divides, and stressful sporting games that are far more political than we often wish to believe. It is a country that Nelson Mandela devoted his life to, and one that has so much room for growth even after he is no longer leading it. So I made that realization after all my research that obviously they are very advanced society and not what I consider them to be, not more of a third world country, but they definitely are more of an advanced society. That after I've done a lot of research and gone through this paper. So, anyway, that was my assignment. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching.